Court will please come to order. There's a quorum present. All of our court members are present. All legal notices for this meeting have been posted and the court is duly called. Is there a motion to close the December term?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to open the January term?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And that takes us to the bailiff, who will please open court.
All rise.
Yeah.
Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for this January 2017. The Honorable Clay Lewis Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Price.
Judge, Commissioners, today we're very pleased to have with us Minister William Hill. Minister William Hill is Associate Minister in charge of the Harvest Ministry at the Mount Rose Church under the leadership of Bishop Jeffrey Thomas Sr. He's also the founder and the CEO of New Directions. It's a service provider for juveniles and adult courts. He provides family preservation, resiliency, anger management, and truancy intervention. He's also a social studies teacher at the Dallas Can Academy. And Minister Hill, thank you very much for gracing us today.
Thank you, sir. Amen. If we would just bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you on this gracious moment. We're asking for your intervention and for your grace. Father, we know that the commissioners have a great task ahead of them in 2017 and beyond, and we're asking that you would grant them wisdom and favor and just the spirit of cooperation. Father, we know that discernment is also necessary, for there are so many issues that weigh heavily upon them, and the outcomes are dependent upon their decisions. So today, Father, we ask you to be with them, be with their families. Just bless them exceedingly and abundantly above all that they can ask or think. And all those who are associated with them, all the court officials, all of those who, the bailiffs, and all of those who are associated with the functioning of this department. God, we ask your favor and your intervention so that 2017 will be a year where this Commissioner's Court will shine forth in our community as a beacon of light and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Hill.
All right, we got some resolutions today, and the first is from Commissioner Mike Cantrell.
I could have Kathleen Storm and her delegation come forward, please. And I'll read the resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice where an individual has given long and faithful service to Dallas County. And whereas Kathleen Storm was born in Jamaica, New York, to the parents of Mike and Fran Fleming, she graduated from DeSoto High School, El Centro College, and the University of North Texas. She is a board-certified paralegal, Family Law, State Board of Texas of Legal Specialization. And whereas Kathleen is married to Stephen Storm and has 3 children, Nicole, Kevin, who's a son-in-law, and Jason, and 2 grandchildren, Caitlin and Jackson. She enjoys spending time with her family, and she looks forward to retirement. And whereas Kathleen is a member of the Texas Board of Legal Specialization, the Dallas Bar Association Family Law Section, and the UNT Alumni Association. And whereas Kathleen received the following awards for special achievements: the Dallas Bar Association Coordinator of the Year, 2006, Legal Services of North Texas Volunteer of the Year, 2007, Guest Lecturer, UNT Dallas and Denton campuses, and Guest Lecturer, University of Texas Arlington, 2010 through 2015. And whereas Kathleen began her Dallas County career on October 16, 1986, in the District Clerk's Office as a county clerk, and whereas Kathleen has continuously served Dallas County in positions with increasing leadership responsibilities to include court administrator in the 301st District Court, process supervisor, and assistant manager of the probate division in the county clerk's office, and technical analyst trainer in the Office of Information Technology, where she currently serves. And whereas Kathleen has served Dallas County continuously and diligently for 30 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Kathleen Storm for 30 years of faithful service, and further expresses best wishes in her future years of service to Dallas County. And I so move.
And I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Vic, I don't know if you want to start off and then let Kathleen after you. And we also have Judge Rankin here. If you want to start us.
I'm Judge Susan Rankin. Kathy was my coordinator. There's not enough to say about her integrity and what a great person. Thank you.
I'm Sam Victor. I'm the CIO for Dallas County and also the department head for IT. And certainly we just enjoyed and privileged to have Ms. Kathleen work as a part of our department. She hasn't worked with IT as long as she's worked with some of the other departments, but she obviously, they trained her quite well to be able to serve in IT. But certainly we appreciate all the hard work. She's one of those type of people that even though she's not feeling the very best, she basically comes into work and stuff. They know other people might take the opportunity to go through and actually stay at home, but she's not definitely not feeling the very best. But she still comes in and she makes a difference. And she is, when you can put Kathleen on a particular project, you know that the project is going to be going to go exceptionally well. So we thank her for not only her service with IT, but her service with the entire Dallas County. Thank you, Kathleen, for your wonderful. And thank you for family for loaning us for the last 30 years.
Thank you, sir.
Kathleen, would you like to introduce
I was going to introduce this. These are my parents, Mike and Fran Fleming. Oh, sorry, my husband first, Stephen Storm. And of course, my daughter, Nicole, and her husband. My two beautiful grandchildren, Caitlin and Jackson. Emily from, where are you now, probate. Mr. Miller, who also works for IT, and Mr. Victor, and of course, Judge Susan. But I want to say just a brief, as you know, Mr. Commissioner Cantrell, getting here to 30 years for me has really been a challenge. 9 years ago, I was faced with a near-death experience, which changed me a little bit, but also made me learn to appreciate how important life is and how quickly it can come and go. Yeah. And this last 9 years, I fought hard to get to this 30 years because I felt my commitment to Dallas County. I really enjoyed working here. I've enjoyed working for the courts. I've enjoyed working for Judge Susan and Mr. Victram, and I appreciate the opportunity. My current management has really worked hard with my challenges that I faced as a result of the incident in 2007. So I'm very blessed to be able to stand here in front of all of you today and be alive and to say, thank you and continue my service with Dallas County.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for all your service.
Thank you.
And our next resolution will be from Commissioner Price.
If Clifton Cowles and his delegation will come forward. Make it? Okay, Clifton didn't make it. Okay. Well, apparently Mr. Cowles did not make it. And the resolution will be as presented to the court. All the members have had the occasion to review it, and I enthusiastically author and support it. I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And our last resolution this morning is from Commissioner Garcia.
Judge, colleagues, members of the audience, it's a pleasure and a great honor to read the next resolution, not only because one of the best, honors that you have in life is to serve people, to help people when they need it the most. And the person that is receiving the next resolution is exactly that. It's a, life changer, and that is not easy saying. So I'm going to ask Ms. Kathy Perdigo and her, her group to move forward to the microphone and come down as I read the next resolution that says, whereas Katie Perdigo graduated from Texas A&M University in 1995 with a bachelor's degree in business management and received her law degree from Southern Methodist University in 1998. Whereas in 1998, Kathy began working in home health care industry, and in 2007, she brought her passion and talents to the nonprofit sector. Ms. Pitico is founding executive director in Compass Cares, which raises funds and distributes grants for medical missions, community assistance, and employee emergency hardships. And since 2010, Katie has been the chief executive officer of New Friends, New Life. She leads the organization in its missions to restore and empower formerly trafficked teen girls and sexually exploited women and their children. Kathy assisted in building the New Friends, New Life Resource Center, the Second Chance Job Program, and the Circle of Friends in order to fulfill the program's mission. And the New Friends, New Life Men's Advocacy Group Board has also been made possible due to her collaboration with male community leaders. The board mobilizes men to take action against sex trafficking and exploitation by raising public awareness, legal advocacy, and corporate engagement. And whereas Kathy and her team, working together with other nonprofits, and especially Dallas County, and influencers in the community, have helped pass laws that increase protection and offer orders of non-disclosure of records for victims of trafficking, and separated prostitution penalties in the penal code to help identify and differentiate the victims and perpetrators. This year, Share Hope International upgraded Texas to only one of the only 6 states to receive the grade A in the fight against human trafficking. And thanks to Kathy, has been awarded several recognitions, including the Hero for Children from Texas Education Commission, the More a Woman Helping Women Award from Dallas Women Foundation, and the Gail Reese Excellent in Mentoring Award by the SMU Women's Symposium. And whereas she has increased the community involvement, advocacy efforts, corporate engagement, public awareness, education initiatives, financial investments to combat sex trafficking and exploitation, as well as impacted the lives of countless young girls and women. So now, therefore be resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Ms. Kathy Pitico for over 6 years of faithful and dedicated service to our community, and further expresses best wishes on her retirement. Kathy, we're going to miss you. And I so move.
And I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
You're too young to retire.
It's time. It's time. Thank you so much. Dallas County is the best county on the planet, and I am grateful for your leadership. What an honor today is. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia, for your continued partnership with New Friends, New Life, and for all that you have done in our city to lift up the little girls who need their voices heard. Thank you for that. And Commissioner Daniel, you as well have helped us as we've worked with Lee Tott and Dr. Smith and so many members of Dallas County to make sure this is a safe haven for our most vulnerable citizens. It is my honor today to introduce to you a group that's with me. My husband, Brett Pitico, my parents, Deanna and Gary Beecham, my former board chair, Pat Schinkel, my one of our board of directors, Nancy Best, and the ones that really make it happen are staff that include Lala Shackelford, Bill Morris, Kelly Cruz, and Irie Session. I have a fantastic group of people who are passionate, who are caring, who want to see change in our city and our county. And it can only happen because of people really putting their hearts and their minds and speaking for those that don't have a voice for themselves. So thank you for today. It's a tremendous honor, and I'm grateful. I'm most grateful for the time I've been able to spend at New Friends, New Life, and look forward to the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a couple of things I want the court, and I'm sure we all know by now, to convey condolences to the family of Jan Pruitt. Jan, you don't say Jan Pruitt without having been synonymous with the North Texas Food Bank. and she transitioned this weekend. So I just want us to be very cognizant of it. I think we all kind of still take that basic for granted, food. And even in our juvenile department, we have now engaged with them, not for individuals and young people who are in our custody, but as much for their families. And North Texas Food Bank has been a real partner. And Jan has been very integral in that, so I definitely want to convey from this court our condolences to that family. Secondly, I want to say to SWIFTs, especially to the medical examiner's office, to Dr. Jeffrey Bernard. Just a few weeks ago, we talked about Mr. Zachary Thompson and Health and Human Services and that whole accreditation. NAME, National Alliance of Medical Examiners, has recommissioned our medical examiner's office for national accreditation. It means a lot. Those accreditations are not just perfunctory and something that we do. It means a lot to get to that level. So I want to commend Dr. Bernard and his staff. I think nobody was around here, I guess, remembering Dr. Petty had it 1 year, and it lapsed, and after that, Dr. Bernard has maintained it successfully every year. So I just want to say commendations to he and his staff.
And like you say, Commissioner, thank you for bringing that up, because the reality is not everyone knows how important and how hard are to have these accreditations and to keep them. Yeah. I mean, to keep them, and I know I saw one of your emails. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of investment in time, in management, and more importantly, in training of your staff. And well, we all know we lose staff all the time. And just for, Health and Human Services, Mr. Thompson, and, SWIFT, I mean, kudos, great work. I know that you have the respect that you have in this state because of all the hard work and having these accreditations just sustains, exactly that.
And she talks about our staff, and this staff can take real pride because we get cherry picked. We get cherry picked all over the state, from our elections division to our public works division to our medical examiners. They leave here and go elsewhere. And so I just want to say thank you for that kind of leadership. Okay.
I would also like to follow up with that and just recognizing in events that happened since the last time we met, and that is that this past weekend there were a number of swearing-ins for staff members, and there were a couple of the people here. John Ames was sworn in to be our tax assessor for the next 4 years.
We love him.
It's a little bit of effort to do that, and Commissioner Price and myself were also sworn in again. And I don't see anybody else.
Chief Tracy Gully.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
She is.
That's
She
all
had
right.
a paper on.
Sorry, Constable. I'm gonna work on it. I'm working on it. Constable.
Give us a few months.
Yeah, Constable.
Well, congratulations to all, Commissioner Daniels, Commissioner Price. Obviously, it's good to have you all back. And honored to serve with, Mr. Ames. What can I say? I like that guy, too. So, I mean...
and as I say, we cannot do it without everybody working together.
Well, I mean, he handles most of the money. Congratulations to all constables.
Well, I'll take a moment of personal privilege to recognize Jason Romaine. Today is Jason's first day on the job. He is a new member of my staff.
Oh, okay.
Jason is a Colombian immigrant of Haitian descent. He obtained a bachelor's degree in international affairs from the University of Georgia and completed a master's degree in Latin American studies at the University of Texas at Austin. And he's worked at the White House, the United States Senate, and has also worked with political party leaders throughout Latin America. And most recently, he served as Latino Community Outreach Director in the state of Pennsylvania for the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign. And we're very honored to have you join our team here. Thank you.
Bienvenido.
that takes us to a presentation from Director Thompson. No?
No. We just
We just got the last report
we're keeping it
anyway,
on
yeah.
as a running.
Maybe we want to talk
Thank
blue.
you, Mr. Thompson.
All right, and you've got a couple of presentations if you want them. Do you
Yeah,
have anything?
well, I'm definitely going to deal with this update on patient relations report. I keep talking about this, and it doesn't seem to be getting, any traction. I just don't understand it, and I'm basically saying to the court, Senadil said to Parkland probably at least 90 days ago, and I said, I'm obligated to inquire regarding the matters that affect my constituency. And while it's no secret that Parkland management, in my opinion, fails to make the best decision, many people continue to complain. And most of the complaint derive from a lack of leadership in certain categories. Now, I don't want to talk specifically, but what we're doing is we're sitting here watching years of experience walk out the door. And I just think for this court not to say something to Parkland with regard to patient relations department, been led by a number of people. And what's bothering me is that in some of these departments, you've got people in there now that don't even have the clinical background to talk about leading these departments. We've had at least 4 individuals who have an accumulation of 75 years, from vice presidents to executive vice presidents, to leave. In the last 6 months, they walked out the door to other jobs. And they have expressed that, that the issue, with Parkland. I've asked for the turnover since this certain person has been in charge, since they've been hired, and I have yet to receive that information. There's an employee engagement survey that was conducted in 2015, and the results they've shared with staff. Has any member of the court seen it? I've asked for it. We have not seen that, and it's primarily in nursing. I keep telling people they got 12,000 employees out there, and the majority of them, are nurses. And these are all nurses turning over and walking out the door and going to, other institutions. They've talked about what?
No, but Commissioner, I've seen your emails and the request of information now. The turnover with nurses is a fact of the industry, though.
No.
I don't know exactly what you're looking into.
No. It's not. This is not industry, and I've talked to each and every one of them. It is not industry driven.
Okay.
It is leader.
Just wanted to be sure that
Right.
we
No.
know, because
Yes. No. It's not.
we
It's
do
not.
know right now all the
Numbers
hospitals.
significantly different from across the country?
Yes, they are significantly in our turnover.
It's 18% across. What's it here?
It's much. And I'm talking about just the nurses' corps.
Well, I know, but I think nurses are 18% across the country. So what is it here?
That's what I'm asking for.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
what
won't
I'm
be-
asking.
you don't
them.
have it yet.
That's what I'm asking them to compare, and I've been asking. But you cannot have the kind of executive vice presidents and president walking out complaining and saying that they've been real clear. They're leaving because of highlighting staff frustration, breakdown in leadership.
And I get that, but I think Dr. Garcia's point is a good one too. If you go across the United States and look at people who are leaving their jobs, all of them will say there's a reason, and a lot of times it's dissatisfaction with their leaders or their job or their working conditions.
No, every individual did not. There's a nursing survey. I've asked for.
We're waiting for that information.
I've been asking, but I've been waiting for it for the last 3 or 4 months. How long I've copied the administration. How long have I been waiting for it?
At least 90 days.
Yeah. So they've got the survey. I asked for the 2015. I didn't ask for the 2016. I asked for the 2015 survey. And each one of these vice presidents, executive vice presidents, and all say, hey, look, you know, it's all there. But they're not sharing it. And so we cannot, it has an impact on patients. You can't have that kind of turnover. So I guess I'm saying to, you know, to the rest of the court, I mean, maybe no one cares. I'm going to continue to talk about it. I don't want to talk personnel specific, even though I have the names and I've talked to them. I just want the information so we can talk about it. Let's make the comparison. And you know, you talk about across the country. You know, how many times have we talked about SMSA? We don't make comparisons with what happens in Dallas County. There's a national average, but we talk about what's happening in this statistical area. You know, these people didn't leave and go back to Virginia.
That's fair.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair.
So let's talk about here. And these are executive positions.
I don't have the numbers.
I got it. That's my point. I don't have all of them either. But I keep generating email, and they continue to fall on deaf ears. I guess what I'm asking is, I want Parkland to come down and be able to explain it. 'Cause I keep putting it on the docket. I keep giving them more and more time, and they're not appearing. Our patients have to nursing. Doctors don't run hospitals. Nurses do. And as a result, when you've got this kind of turnover in nurses, and I know it's been ramped all the way up to the top level, and there's no response. And so I wanted for them to come down and explain.
You know, and I agree with Commissioner Price. I would like to know, you know, as a result of this conversation, you know, this has been aligned with COTS. We know Parkland did mention last time they were here, the COTS will be coming after the gap in their budget. I mean, I would like to know if, like Commissioner Price is saying, this has to do with dissatisfaction or it has to do with pay. I mean, I know VPs in nursing are very high seen and looked after because, you know, it's not an easy job. So with that being said, Commissioner, I mean, I will ask Mr. Martin to go ahead and ask for this information from the court.
Commissioner Price did send a specific email again if this been done today. I will follow up with him and have them come.
Yeah.
I saw the
No,
answers.
I sent another one. I sent another one because.
Did you copy the court, Commissioner? Because I don't remember seeing it. Thank you, Mr.
I will make sure that they have a representative here for the 20th, the meeting on the 17th, rather.
Yeah, because I've seen all the responses and I review all the information, but I don't remember seeing your email in particular asking for the information.
Yeah, that was one of those 4:30 this morning email. But but my point.
You're awake. I'm barely going to sleep.
But my point is that I keep just asking for information, and it doesn't seem to be forthcoming.
Well, and it may be more complicated than, you know, just the pay issue and things like that, because byproducts of the CIA and culture change and everything else taking place with Parkland, I think it's going to be a lot more complicated than what we're looking at.
I mean, I'm trying not to get personnel specific, but every last one of them, they're very specific. Has nothing to do with CIA. Has nothing to do with CMS.
But
has
the
nothing
culture,
to do with
they have to do with the culture of the institution.
Yeah, but Commissioner, and that's all well and good, and I agree that there's a real challenge there. But when there seems to be a single point for all of them, and they said the survey will reflect that.
But if it is a culture change, then you're going to have that single point, because that's where it's ultimately going to reside.
Yeah,
is with the.
But then if there is a survey that shows that there is a central point, that there is something that we ought to know about, that we ought and possibly address, then I share your concern, because obviously being in a position of oversight of Parkland, it's important that we are aware of that, and if their tenure records are that significantly different, then no, there is a point of concern there. So please follow up and share the information when.
But they can go, yeah, and they can go.
I don't know how you're going to get that information without
there's a survey
getting
that shows
into
it.
personnel
Well,
issues because
and I didn't call personnel, again,
He asked
but
for
it's-
trends.
it's
Yeah,
gonna-
yeah,
there's some trending.
Yeah.
it trends, but
And I don't know, no, I hear what you're saying. And again, I purposely did not call the name of the people that I either talked to or that they all seem to point to. I got that. But, and as I said, they've ramped it all the way up to leadership. The reason they said that they're beginning to reach outside, and even to the point that they've even complained to CMS. I think I put that in one of my emails. They've even complained to CMS because they said, hey, they can't get any relief within the chain of command. They've gone all the way up the executive ladder. And so they have actually complained beyond Parkland.
One thing that we have to be mindful of here, and I'm sure that all the members of the court are, is that we appoint a board of directors, a board of managers rather, and then we oversee and approve the budget, and the board oversees the hospital. Have you made all these known to the board?
I have, and that does not relieve me of my responsibility. You've said that right here before. Just because your staff or you.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I just want to make sure the board has an opportunity.
I've said that to them. I've had meetings with them. I've copied them on the chair, my appointee. I've copied him on the emails. Okay, so staff's been getting them. Our staff's been getting them. Their staff has been getting them, and the board chair has been getting them.
And we'll have to tread lightly, and we'll be looking at the DA for some guidance on that as we talk about another entity's personnel at a public meeting. So look forward to having that.
Well, I don't know what you got to tread lightly, but I just don't be specific.
Well, you can't say their name.
And I haven't said their name, but that doesn't mean, the issue doesn't go away. I hear you. But I want it on the docket for the next.
Is that it on those?
Well, since we are just talking about coming back and doing some of the, catching up, I want to congratulate Mr. Losberg and his staff. As always, we just received also the 2016 TIF district status report, and it was impressive to see. Mr. Losberg, thank you for all the work. The 24 TIFs that we have in Dallas County have increased in $1.6 billion in the past year, which is an all-time one-year figure, but nevertheless the highest we have had. Not to mention that, we continue to have some of the challenges that we expected with TIFs that do not perform, do not have that anchor project that makes a TIF very successful. But it was good to see that some in the Southern sector are doing better than expected. So with that being said, thank you for the report, Mr. Losberg. I always look forward to review it, and it's good news for Dallas County.
And this will take us to our consent agenda.
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right. And we'll now consider court orders, K1 through 43 and addendum 44. Is there a motion on those?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Cantrell, second by Commissioner Daniel. You got it. Is there any discussion?
I did have a couple of questions. Or observations related to court order number 11, which is the creation of the Dallas County Code Chapter 71 in the world where there is a lot of concerns about ethics and how public servants behave. What are some of the additions that have been made or changes that for the continual review that we have had here at Dallas County?
My understanding that there were no
was
changes.
nothing.
No
or
changes?
weakening
No.
of-
What we're doing is just codifying.
Yeah, that's all.
If it had not been a part of our actual
No.
code, but making it now part of the code, So again, it's open to the public. You can look at Dallas County
Yeah.
Code, find chapter 71, which is the ethics policy.
Yeah,
No
that's
change
all.
to the policy.
That's all.
Okay, okay.
And I think on a day when I got up this morning and watched the early morning news, I saw in Washington they're looking for new ways to weaken their ethics policies and be able to have all the ethics complaints go to party leaders as opposed to having stronger ethics. So I think it's good that we've got a robust transparency and ethics policy here, and pleased to see it codified.
Okay, Commissioner Cantrell, any comments at all?
No comments. Make America great.
Again.
Also wanted to take a look at number 26, which is planning and development. And Mr. Losberg continues to just do review of where we are on things like tax abatement policies to make that match what's going on in the greater environment.
Thank you, Commissioner. State law requires every county and every city that does tax abatements to reauthorize or look at their policy every 2 years. So we are now at that point for our policy, and I always try to use that as an opportunity to either update or to make some changes to reflect maybe situations in the real world that we didn't anticipate. There's two slight changes that I'm proposing that the court consider as it reauthorizes its policy today. They reflect changes in the economy that have really taken place over a period of time, but especially over the last several years. They involve the relationship that we have between the amount of assessed valuation and a job in our market, and then also what the average salary is in our market. Historically, up until recently, there's been a relationship of $50,000 of assessed valuation for every job. The last 5 years, that's exploded, and that relationship is now about $1,000 to $80,000. Same thing on the average salary; it's increased from about $50,000 to $60,000. And the reason I bring that up is on the employment side, we give firms sort of two options to meet the employment test. One is to create full-time jobs, or to create the equivalent on a payroll basis. And so if our payroll is set at an old rate, then we're under requiring what we normally would or what actually occurs in the market today. So that's the recommendation for changing the payroll amount from $50,000 to $60,000. On the AV ratio, there's no requirement to have that at all, but it just, again, reflects what happens in the real world. And if we set that ratio at a different level, which we can do, then in a way we're either maybe over-requiring people to produce assessed valuation in relation to a job that either does or doesn't actually occur. So it's just a case of trying to do what reflects the real-world situation. I've tested the proposed changes to, I believe there were 8 projects last year that we either formally authorized or that we offered offer letters for. And in every instance, those projects met the revised standards that are before you today.
But Rick, really and truly, and you and I have been in enough of those meetings in terms of entertaining the prospective companies, corporates, that really hasn't really, come into play.
It hasn't, but the good thing is, and Commissioner, you know this as well as anybody, since you were here before, well, when we had the very first policy, we've always historically had the most stringent tax abatement policy that I've seen anywhere, not just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or the state, but anywhere. And as a result of that, it's allowed us to not have to be inundated with a lot of fringe requests. And by making sure that our policy remains tight, we'll have that protection there. There's always doubt sometimes as to whether or not we're providing an incentive that's really needed. And what we've always done is by having the standards that we do, if we do err, we err on a project of such magnitude that we're willing to accept that risk if that happens. And by maintaining that stance, I think we'll have that assurance in the future.
And I do appreciate the fact that you continue to vet and analyze these projects, because we get inundated not only by corporates but even by, like you said, some of our cities who have at least an expectation that that project is going to produce when in fact it really does.
Or even just a perspective change. Now, we represent 30 cities and 900 square miles and 2.4 million people. For a community that has maybe 15,000 people or 50,000 or even 1 million, their perspective is going to be a lot different than ours. Ours has to be much more macro. So what's important to us may not be important, or what's important to them may not quite have the same ramifications as it would for us.
But I appreciate you bringing that up, because one of the things you and your staff do is review to see whether or not those who have received abatements are in fact complying with them.
Yeah, and we like to see that our policy is working, and if it is, that's great, and if it isn't, what can we do to make it better?
No, I like it because it's like you say, it's micro-target and no exemptions. What can I say?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The last but not least, and I know Mr. Bickstrom addressed this at our last meeting at CJAB, is court order number 4, the temporary reclassification and additional stuff for the Justice of the Peace. Tech Share. I know that they have been awaiting for this, and the question was asked to Mr. Bickstrom during our meeting. He responded, and now we have it in front of us. So, Mr. Bickstrom, can you elaborate a little bit? For you were there. Thank you so much. I know that you answered exactly this, and I understand this is the response. So, thank you so much.
So I think the commissioner is talking about the item that's on the actual court agenda this morning is for the TechShare JP delivery. And this particular item, I think, was put on by budget as far as the changes and stuff there as far as the reclassification for the actual chief clerk for that to be basically moved over to that particular project, and also to basically have a backfill for that particular position while she's working over there. As far as the conversation with the CUC on the delivery of the TechShare JP development project, as far as the application, our understanding is that they're going to deliver that in August of 2017, obviously this year, for us to begin the actual rollout. And so we're in the process of actually validating a couple of developmental items as far as some of the fit-out items. And so our expectation is it basically be delivered for that particular date as far as August of 2017.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Brown can go through and actually address the other items as far as the classification of the chief clerk.
This particular request matches actually what we did with district clerk and county clerk. The chief clerk will be given a 10% stipend while they're away from the office working on the JP TechShare project. When they come back, then the stipend will go away. While she's gone for that 18 to 24 months, the JP did request that he receive one clerk, low-level clerk, to continue to do the workload as it relates to the office. And so that's also in there. So.
Well, I'm just so heartened to see that this is moving forward. So thank you, Mr. Bickstrom, and the various other people who were instrumental in keeping this going.
Well, especially because this project has been delayed for such a long time after changing companies, and I mean, everything that could go wrong on this one went wrong. I think this is the reason I appreciate, Mr. Bickstrom being there that day, is that, finally we have a date, we have a timeline that, hopefully this will come forward.
May it go forward.
Yes, ma'am. Like I say, August of 2017 is when they're expected to deliver the actual software, and then they'll take another few months because we've got 10 JP courses, take another few months to go to implement all in the JP course according to the current timeline.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Colin.
Call questions. Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, and this takes us to, I guess our speakers. Yep. All right, will the bailiff please read the rules of decorum for our public speakers?
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provision of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to observe order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, and slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all clause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptors, visitors, and/or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the state of Texas Criminal Code, sections 38.13, 48.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Thank you.
And the maximum discussion of any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
All right, good morning and Happy New Year, Ms. Phillips.
Good morning.
All right.
Happy New Year. Dolores Phillips, 4271 Altoona Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75233. That would be apartment 412E. You do have handouts, and I'm here to speak about Green Oaks and leading up to Green Oaks. Green Oaks was about unlawful dehumanization, unlawful detainment, and unlawful arrest, because I continue to duly speak of this massive cover-up that's way bigger than Dallas and Texas. And I'm going to continue to take the blows as they come, and I'm going to give it back in peace and truth. Another thing I wanted it to be known, when I started speaking in 2013, in the latter part of 2013, when I started to speaking at the city hall, a non-minority gentleman approached me and asked me, at any given time, did I accept a Habitat home under the table in exchange to be quiet about this massive cover-up and the injustices I continue to speak of? I said, no, sir. In the early part of 2014, a different non-minority gentleman said they built the home, the Habitat home, for blackmail. I don't have time to play. I wouldn't waste your time. I have other things I could be doing. I never heard of Dallas area Habitat for Humanity until 2006 when I got the call out the blue. Now, listening to the non-minority gentleman, I do believe the Dallas area Habitat home was built for blackmail to try to hush me. And speaking of the most massive cover-up, I believe that is documented in America's history. So let's talk about Green Oaks. You have Nick Novello, a Dallas police officer who endured consequences and repercussions for superiors for whistleblowing. You had Shanna Lopez, a DPD officer who whistleblowed a rookie, and then she was terminated and blacklisted in Dallas. 8-9 years later, the same officer she reported committed suicide last year before talking and speaking to DPD internal investigation about sexually harassing what you want to call streetwalkers. I'm going to humbly endure Jim Crow South inevitable consequences for being a minority and duly, diligently, persistently speaking of the truth that is known. So it didn't start with me. It didn't start with me being the first minority to be thrown up under the bus for speaking of injustices. I was born in the South, raised in the South, live in the South, and wouldn't change anything if I could. What I want you to know, Honorable Jenkins, is that if everything is everything, it is no reason that Commissioner Price, Governor Perry, nor Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton should be indicted unless they were indicted for rape or murder or crimes against children, considering what Dallas has done as a city, a county, what Texas has done as a state, and what America has done as a nation. Have a good day. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, our next speaker is Mr. Larry Spencer. Mr. Larry Spencer. Mr. Larry Spencer. All right. And our next speaker is Mr. Richard Sheridan. Good morning, Mr. Sheridan, and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year, and congratulations to our Dallas Cowboys. It's been a long time. I'm here to speak about an upcoming federal case, a case in which I consider to be the selective prosecution of a black man with 3 white men being left out. Even the Morning News wrote, activists asked, where are the whites in the case? That's in the Morning News, and I'll be very careful in what I say today. Copy, but I'm blanking out anything that could cause you to stop me from speaking, Judge. I believe it's a states' rights case, and that's why I wrote to the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, because I believe the federal government, the FBI and the DOJ are are basically selectively prosecuting this black man. So, Mr. Paxton, you maybe remember receiving a copy of the letter I sent on December 2nd to Mr. John Parker, U.S. Attorney. In that letter, I allege that Dallas is controlled by a sinister organization called Blank. I allege that this organization has controlled Dallas by way of a RICO conspiracy for over 50 years. This organization was founded by KKK member and former R.L. Thornton. If you follow the money, the big money, you will find the individuals most being members of the Blank. And here's 5 very revealing articles which connect Perot with the inland port and Blank. 1, Perot stated publicly that the Dallas Inland Port is a direct threat to Alliance Airport. That's in The Observer. The mystery of Ross Perot Jr.'s vanquished Dallas competitor. Numerous people point fingers at Perot, perceiving that his Hillwood Development Company had a role in the inland port political foot dragging. This is all out of the news. Activists ask, where are whites in the case? Morning News, July. Fed cite Perot Blank connection. Morning News. Perot firm Hillwood apparently caught up in the scandal. Judge, if you let me know when there's about 20 seconds left, I'd appreciate it. Every one of these articles points to the fact that Ross Perot Jr. was very much involved in not only slowing down the inland port, but in causing it to go bankrupt with the assistance of Blank. The 2 other elected officials who I alleged helped Perot Jr. were our mayor and former Mayor Tom Leppert. Here's some information on them. Consultant Blank in the probe helped Mayor Rawlins carry South Dallas. The FBI has alleged that money flowed from Rawlins' campaign to Neely to Blank. Federal agents allege that Neely conspired to launder money that involved payment from Rawlins' campaign to Neely. And the Rawlins' campaign paid a total of over $300,000 to Neely. Willis Johnson, who Rawlins paid $57,000 as a campaign consultant, has been linked to the Price investigation. He joined the future mayor on a helicopter tour of the inland port. Perot was the pilot. And for sake of time, again, Tom Leppert. Why is Mayor Leppert putting the brakes on Inland Port? Everything that we do to slow up, sit on, or hamstring the Inland Port tends to deliver a mammoth competition advantage to the Perot Family Alliance Airport.
Mr. Sheridan, you're out of time.
You were going to give me 30 seconds. Could you give me 15 seconds to finish up, to wrap it up? Just 15 seconds.
If it's the willingness of the majority or the unanimous court, does anybody have a problem with that in 15 seconds? No problem?
Just 15 seconds.
Give it to Ken. Okay. Okay, so we have an objection to
Okay.
15 seconds?
So,
Okay.
the conclusion.
I'm sorry, under our rules, if I've got an objection from any member.
So it's not, it can't just be a majority, it has to be a complete.
Under our rules.
Okay, I respect that. You'll all receive a copy of this.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
And our next speaker is Mr. William Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, there's
And good morning, Mr. Hopkins, and Happy New Year to you.
My name is William Hopkins. Judge, you and Craig Watkins went and talked to the Attorney General about the, like, giving the county workers a raise, or maybe, like the contract, the workers y'all got contracted, that y'all, like, pay less. You contract the workers out. You say somebody in Washington or some of the federal government let you, some of your team members, you let contract out for, and they get paid less and all that. So you talk to the Attorney General. He told you how to, get a raise for the county workers. In that meeting with you and Craig Watkins and the Attorney General, he told you how to go to court, what kind of court to go through, because there's other states that raise the minimum wage. So he told you how to get the minimum raise for the county workers, and he told you how to fix it where the contractors, when y'all contract the work out, that y'all can maybe make them pay the people more than less. But you and Craig Watkins didn't do nothing. You didn't tell the county workers. You could have told them that the city of Dallas, poverty, we're at the lowest. We're the poorest. You probably had to go to Africa to find people more poor than Dallas. You probably had to go to Africa. Sand Branch, and people don't even have water. I don't know where you have to go to find a community with no water. I don't know how they bathe. I don't know how they brush their teeth. I don't know. I don't even want to know. It makes me cry, man, just thinking about what do they do? How do they do this? For me to think about it, man, it kills me. But the people dying in West Dallas, and you know it, Judge Jenkins. I gave you the lawsuit where the city sued and got the money. John Wiley Price and Fred Byron and Bud, Lisa Blue and Dorothy Bud, they got our money, Judge Jenkins. We dying in West Dallas. My family is dying. My mother dead. My father dead from lead. The Dallas Morning News did an article December the 16th, December the 17th, and the 18th of 2012. They found a whole lot of lead in my mother's yard. And my sister right now is sick. And my brother dead. I got 2 brothers dead. My sister dead, Margaret. My mother and father dead. And they found a large level of lead in our yard. And I thought maybe the FBI were going to come in and help us and help the people around us. In the Dallas Morning News, they letting us die. And Merrill Rollins and you, Judge Jenkins, you know we dying. And you got the lawsuit. I don't know if Russell Bud and Fred Byron and Bud and Lisa Blue and Dorothy Bud is given to your campaign for you to let us die. I know they paying John Wiley Price. They paying everybody. Laura Miller. Laura Miller's husband worked for Fred Byron and Bud law firm. He was a state representative when the state sued. He was a state representative, and he worked for Fred Byron and Bud law firm, and he fixed it so we wouldn't get the money, and he fixed it so Fred Byron and John Wiley Price and them and the preachers get the money. What a clock? How do I know? What a clock at? What a clock?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's out again. But
You know what?
you're over time.
You're going to have to get control of this man call. Otherwise, I'll any minute. Quick.
And our last speaker is Mr. Andrew Sullivan. Mr. Andrew Sullivan, Mr. Andrew Sullivan. All right, that concludes our public speakers. In a couple of minutes, we'll adjourn for our closed session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code as previously posted. Any action as a result of the closed session will take place in the subsequent open session. Okay. No action necessary as per the closed session. Court stands adjourned. You betcha.